I've spent a lot of time in the wilderness on my own. Along the way, I've developed a handful of principles that I rely on every time I head into the outdoors. Whether that's running through mountains, climbing towards a summit, or spending nights alone in the backcountry, the principles remain the same. Whether you're planning your first day hike or your first solo overnight adventure, I hope these lessons help you enjoy the outdoors with confidence and, most importantly, come home safely. The first thing I'd tell anyone is to build their confidence one step at a time. I think one of the biggest mistakes people make is often taking on too much too soon. You don't need to start with a huge mountain or a multi-day expedition. Start with shorter hikes, learn your gear, get comfortable navigating trails, and slowly and gradually increase the challenge as your confidence grows. Every adventure teaches you something. Even now, I'm still learning something new every time I head into the wilderness. Confidence in the outdoors is built through preparation and experience. There's nothing wrong with starting small. In fact, I believe that's one of the best things you can do to slowly build confidence and set yourself up for long-term success. The next thing I'd encourage anyone to do is to leave a detailed trip plan with someone you trust before you head out. I believe that this is one of the most important things you can do because it has the potential of saving your life. Personally, I like to leave a detailed written note at home with exactly where I'm going, the name of the trail, my planned route, the objective I'm aiming for, whether I'm going to spend the night or not, and most importantly, when people should expect to hear back from me. And before I leave, I like to send the exact same information in a text message. That way, there's both a physical copy and a digital copy. This only takes a few minutes to do, but if something goes wrong, those few minutes could make all the difference. This will give emergency responders and anyone looking for you a much better place to start. The next thing I'd encourage anyone to do is to prepare for the worst case scenario before every trip. I think it's important to have a positive mindset and expect things to go well, but I also think it's equally important to think about the what ifs that could go wrong. That way, you don't have any blind spots. Before I leave home, I always like to ask myself, if everything goes wrong, what's my plan? What if I get injured? What if my gear fails? What if the weather changes? What if darkness comes sooner than expected? Thinking through those situations beforehand helps me remain calm and helps me make better decisions if something unexpected happens. It's crucial to always have a backup plan. For me, one of my non-negotiables in the backcountry is always carrying an inReach. This allows me to stay in communication, and if a serious emergency happens outside of cell service, this gives me a way to call for help. I also like to know where I can bail out if conditions change or if I get injured. At the end of the day, this isn't about expecting something to go wrong. It's about making sure that you're prepared if it does. Hope for the best, but always have a backup plan. One thing I always think about before I leave home is the environment that I'm heading into. Every adventure is different, and understanding the terrain before you get there is one of the best ways to set yourself up for a successful trip. Once I know where I'm going, I'll start thinking about the conditions that I'm heading into. Is there snow at higher elevations? Am I heading into bear country? Are there river crossings or any other hazards? And is there going to be reliable water sources? Depending on the time of year, one creek that was flowing fully last year might be completely dry the next. Every one of those factors will impact how I prepare for every adventure. For example, if I'm heading into bear country, bear spray becomes a non-negotiable for me. If there's still snow on the mountain, that might mean I need to bring micro spikes or even snowshoes. Sometimes I'll even carry gear that I don't end up using. But it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. The more you understand your environment before you leave, the less surprises you're going to have when you're out there. Preparation builds confidence, and confidence leads to better decisions. And one of the biggest lessons I've learned over the years is that good judgment will beat toughness every time. I think there's definitely a lot of strength and perseverance, but it's also good to not let your determination become a blind spot. Good judgment is knowing when to push forward and also knowing when it's time to adapt your plan. Sometimes the strongest decision you can make is slowing down, changing your plan, or even turning around. Sometimes that may mean taking a longer route rather than taking a shorter one, which might have more hazards. Sometimes it means waiting out bad conditions instead of pressing forward. And sometimes it can mean changing your objective altogether. The goal isn't to prove how tough you are. It's to mitigate risk as much as you reasonably can, respect the outdoors, and make good decisions so that will enable you to get home safely so you can enjoy many more adventures in the years ahead. Finally, one of the biggest lessons that the mountains have taught me is to know when to turn around. And keep in mind, the mountain will always still be there tomorrow. Turning around isn't always easy. You've invested time, energy, and maybe you've been planning your objective for weeks. But if things aren't going according to plan, whether that's the weather, the terrain, losing daylight, or fatigue, or simply your gut telling you that something isn't right, be proud of making the decision to turn around, and that very decision could save your life. Some of my most memorable adventures haven't been the ones where I achieved the objective. They've been the times I stopped short, found a safer place to spend the night, and came back for another day. Looking back, I've never regretted making a good decision. Sometimes the journey itself is far more rewarding than the destination.
Know your limits, stay humble, and make decisions you'll be proud of, not just today, but years from now. The mountains have an incredible way of teaching us lessons, but the greatest adventure of all is being able to come back and experience them again.
The mountains will still be there tomorrow. Make sure you are too.